Most people know about the circadian rhythm where you're more wakeful during the day and less at night, but not many people know about the ultradian rhythm, which you go through every 90 minutes throughout the day and night, where you're more wakeful or less wakeful in a 90-minute cycle. If you try to go to sleep in the more wakeful part of that, you are going to be tossing and turning and frustrated and have a much harder time getting to sleep. Hi, I'm Ravi Tangri, and this is SOULgineering, your life and your work. And this is about how do you bring more of your heart and soul into all of your life, into your work, into everything that you do. And today we're going to talk about the number one builder of resilience, which most people today are having a heck of a time with, and that is sleep. A good night's sleep is the best builder of resilience that you can have. But most people, especially with all the uncertainty today and all the caca going on in the world, are having a heck of a time getting a good night's sleep. They're tossing and turning, worrying about all the things that could happen, most of which is out of their control. And so they go into the day more depleted, more tired every single day. And it's not just about yourself. It's probably lots of people that are turning to you for support because of this uncertainty, because of this chaos. They're looking to you to help them, your family, your friends, your people you work with. And if you can't even replenish yourself, how much more of a drain is it when they are looking to you for support? So what we're going to get into today are some simple ways to really start to build your resilience by getting a much better night's sleep. Now, this is especially hard today. We've had a lot of uncertainty and chaos the last 5 years since the pandemic, but this year, it seems like every day you're almost waiting to see what's going to happen today. What's the caca that's going to hit? It's not just uncertain, it's so volatile. And there's so much that's being impacted that we don't have any control over. And it can be overwhelming. It can be very draining. And that can turn not just into a cycle, but a downward spiral that just depletes you. What I want to give you is some simple techniques, simple tools that you can use to be able to stop that drain and start to refill the well so that you can be much more effective. You can be much more powerful for yourself and for the others in your life. So once again, these are really simple techniques. And this isn't just for you because there's probably a lot of people with all of this chaos, with all of this uncertainty. It's on everyone. It's like a weight on society. And there's probably others that are turning to you, your family, your friends, the people you work with. And you may feel that you have to be there for them. And so you're trying to support them and you don't have enough for yourself. So it just gets harder and harder and you just get more and more depleted. So let's focus on how do you fill your well so you can be there for yourself and for the others in your life. Okay. Now, as I've said, the number one builder of resilience, this has been shown by research right now, is a good night's sleep. And there's a few things that you can do to be able to have a much better night's sleep. You're not going to like some of these. I'll be upfront with you. You're not going to like it because it involves changing some habits that you're probably entrenched in. But these little changes can make a huge impact on the quality of your sleep and on what you bring into the world in the morning, how refreshed, how charged, how energized you are, how you have resources to move forward. So one of the things that can be challenging is that we can get into doom scrolling. You know, you start getting in a cycle of seeing all the stuff that's happening, people's reactions, and you just keep going. And that, for a lot of people, fills their evenings or the days as well. And I mean, just from a pure psychological level, that is not healthy. Okay. But from physiological level, looking at screens, they're bright. They make your brain think it's daylight. So if you're looking at your screen until, whether it's a phone, a tablet, TV, whatever, until you go right to bed, you're not going to be able to get to sleep easily because your brain is thinking it's daylight. That bright light is there. So one simple technique to enhance your sleep is no screen time for 1 hour before bed. I told you you weren't going to like these suggestions. But for that hour before bed, you can read, you can have conversations, you can have special time with partner, you can go for a walk, you can meditate, but be away from screen time. So your brain starts to slow down from all of that agitation and is more ready for sleep so that you're not tossing and turning, trying to get to sleep just from that physiological basis. Now, another thing that people have difficulty with is they get caught up in stuff. You may be binging something. You may be doing stuff around the house. You got stuff to do and you know you should get to bed, but you've got to do this and this and this and this. And bedtime gets put off and off and off. So a really simple thing you can do is set an alarm. Use the reminder function on your phone to set an alarm that is half an hour before it's bedtime for you to be ready for when you need to get to bed. One of the important things, another important tip is to always wake up at the same time. So if you want to have so many hours sleep, you figure out what it is, 6 or 7 or 8. You backtrack from when you have to wake up. Say, that's when I've got to be in bed. So a half an hour before that, you set a reminder on your phone so that you are starting to get ready for bed. You're not just pushing it off, and then getting to bed much later than you planned. And also, you've got to listen to that reminder. You just don't just go, oh yeah, that's there, and keep doing. It's like, okay, what do I finish up now so I can be ready for bed? And a lot of people use an alarm for when they wake up. Set it for when you need to start to get ready. Another thing with this is recharge your phone outside your bedroom, away from your bed. That way, if you wake up at night, you're not reaching for the phone and doom scrolling again. A lot of people say, well, I need my alarm clock. You know what? It costs $10 to buy an alarm clock now. Not a big deal. You can have that in your room, but recharge your phone somewhere else so it's not the first thing you grab when you wake up in the morning or when you wake up in the middle of the night. Keep it away from you so that you are not being disturbed in your sleep. Put the charger in another room. And you know what? If there's an emergency, you can put the do not disturb with certain family members. You can set it so that the calls and texts come in even when you have do not disturb. You can put it close enough to the bedroom that you can hear it. You will get the calls if they are an emergency, but you don't get bothered by all the other notifications, all the other things that come in. Now, something else is to work with your own cycles. Are you a morning person or are you a night person? You know, if you're a night person, it's very easy for you to stay up. If you're a morning person, you're going to feel tired probably earlier on. So listen to that. A challenge that I have is I am naturally a night person. It's very easy for me to stay up. But as a parent and working in business, I learned to be a morning person. I'm up at 6. So I have to be very careful to get myself to bed at the right time, because otherwise I can stay up very easily, but then I'm going to be awake at 6 o'clock. Bang. So if I haven't gotten to bed at a decent time, I'm going to wake up tired. So I have to backtrack and make sure I'm getting ready for bed at the right time so that I'm getting up there. The other thing is to make sure that you are getting up at the same time every day. A lot of people sleep in on the weekend. That's the worst thing you can do for your sleep cycle. It's like creating jet lag. So if you want to sleep more, go to sleep earlier or do an effective nap. If you nap, it should, research has been shown, generally should be about 20 minutes, or if it's longer than that, should be an hour and a half. Shouldn't be shorter or in between. If you wake up after an hour, often you're more tired. So power naps for 20 minutes can help. But if you want more rest, go to bed earlier, still get up at the same time. Otherwise, you're creating jet lag for yourself for when you get up on the weekend and for Monday morning. Now, a lot of people know about the circadian rhythm, which is where you're more wakeful at night, in the morning, and in the day. And then at night, you start getting more tired. Your body gets you ready to rest. That's the 24-hour cycle. But most people don't know about another sleep cycle that you have, and that's called the ultradian rhythm. And that's 90 minutes long, where you become more wakeful and more sleepy in a 90-minute cycle. So if you go to bed in the more wakeful part of that 90-minute cycle, you are just going to be tossing and turning and really worn out because you can't get to sleep. You need to work with that down part of that 90-minute cycle and go to bed then when you start getting tired. That's the advantage of setting an hour or two before bedtime where there's no screen time, where you're doing other things, you're reading, you're journaling, you're having conversations and so on, anything away from screen time. And then when you start getting tired, that's when you go to bed, because you're moving with the natural cycles of your body. This happens during the day as well, where we're more wakeful, more sleepy, more wakeful, more sleepy. And so instead of pushing yourself, sometimes it actually pays. You'll be more effective to take a break. Some of the more evolved workplaces in the world encourage power naps for their employees because they know that productivity goes up. If you're feeling really tired, you can actually be more effective overall over the day if you take a 20-minute power nap, or at the very least, do something that is not requiring you to be ultra focused when you're in that tired part of the ultradian rhythm. It will mess up your work and you will have to go back and deal with mistakes and all sorts of other things that go caca. Another thing that can keep people up is being worried about what they have to do tomorrow. Your brain keeps going over, I got to do this, remember this, remember that, boom, 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 boom. And you can't get to sleep because all of this is running through your head. Well, what's happening is your unconscious mind is actually trying to help you. Sounds weird, but it's actually trying to help you because it doesn't want you to forget, doesn't want you to mess things up. So one thing I do with a lot of my coaching clients is I have them just keep a notepad by the bed, and all the things that are running through the head, I got to remember this, I don't want to forget this, I don't want to forget, they jot it down. And what you're doing is you're telling your unconscious mind, hey, I've got it. You don't have to worry. And what happens is that voice then, more often than not, will just go away because it knows you've got it. And the interesting thing that my coaching clients find is that they'll often, for the first couple of nights, they'll write the things down and then they'll taper off. And within a few days, they're not even jotting it down because unconscious minds knows that they'll remember it. Another variant of this is before you leave work or sometime in the evening before your 1 hour of non-screen time, you send yourself an email so that the next morning you know all the things that you have to remember, that you have to do. And you can tell your unconscious mind, got it. I can relax now. I will remember. So put that away. Now, the biggest barrier to sleep is that self-talk. You know, I gave you a very specific example here of where it's there to remind you of what you've got to do tomorrow. But there's a lot of times that self-talk, that monkey mind, that internal dialogue just goes on and on about all the things that are not in your control. So you can't get to sleep because this is constantly going through your head. A lot of people think they don't have control over that. And some people think they are their internal dialogue. Spoiler alert, you are not your internal dialogue. It's something you have. And you are the boss of it. It's not the boss of you. But most people don't know the user manual to actually control that. So here's how you can actually shut this off whenever you want. I'm going to take you through this process quickly, but if you're really serious about doing this, it takes about a week or two to build the habit. You have to invest about 15 minutes a day, not all at once, a minute here, a minute there, and 10 minutes in one chunk for a week or two. And then you'll be able to do this easily, effortlessly, whenever you want. And I'm going to give you some resources on how to do that. But I want to walk you through the process quickly now. And don't necessarily do this while you're driving or operating machinery. You save it for later if you are. But as long as you're free of that, and just for a moment, start to get a sense of that self-talk in your head, okay? You can get a sense of where that is, that monkey mind, that head chatter. And I'm going to ask you some questions that are kind of weird. So, just get a sense of where that is. Like, okay, what you could be saying, what the heck's he talking about? This is ridiculous. This, you can't control this, whatever's going on with your self-talk. Get a sense of that. Now, it's going to sound really weird, but don't think about it. Just answer right away. Where in your head is that? Top, left, front, right, back, center. Just get a sense of where that is. Okay? And just imagine almost like you could pull that internal dialogue on a piece of string, pull it right to the top of your head. Imagine you could, and just notice what happens. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't. And then just imagine almost like you could pull it on a piece of string and pull it right to the back of your head. And just notice what happens. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, sometimes it shifts, whatever, doesn't matter. Then just imagine almost as if you could pull it right to, there's a spot where your spine meets your skull, and just snuggle it right in there, almost like you could pull it on a piece of string, right where your spine meets your skull. And what do you notice if you pull that internal dialogue in there? Just like driving a car into a garage and shutting the door. What happens for most people is it goes away. I have no idea how the neurophysiology of this works, but if you move that internal dialogue to that spot, it cannot work. It just can't. Now, there are times you need to use it to think things through, to work things through. For me, the main use I've ever found is if I'm in the grocery store comparing a couple of items. Beyond that, I don't find this internal dialogue very useful at all. But the thing is, by doing this process, by learning this, by building the skill over a week or two, you can use it so that when you're worried about things that are outside of your control, there's nothing that worrying does that's beneficial. It's not in your control. All you're doing is depleting yourself, creating a stress response, and poisoning your body with over 30 hormonal and 1,300 chemical toxins. Nothing beneficial when it's out of your control. And at night, you're keeping yourself from sleeping. And if you've been worrying all night about things, some of these toxins go through your body for hours. That's part of what keeps you awake. So the more you can shut this off when it's totally useless about things that are outside of your control, the more effective you're going to be, the better sleep you're going to get. So, as I said, I just took you through the process quickly to get a feel for it. Some will get it, some won't with that right away. But if you really want to learn this, this is for me, what I've discovered, the number one builder of resilience. Now, I've got a free e-course that'll take you through that for that week. You just go to silentselftalk.com and you can get full access to that. And within a week or two, you will have full control over shutting that off. So that's a whole slew of things I've given you. Here's the final bit of advice that I will give you. Do not do all of them. If you try to do all of them, you will fail. Because if you go out with a list of 10 things to do, you're not going to get a single thing done. Pick one, maybe two, and build that habit. Then go back. You can always access this podcast and really move forward. Here's the funny thing. Are you ready to take action? When I give a keynote, I see hundreds of people in the room, and when I'm speaking on resilience, one of the things I'll often ask is, who has trouble regularly sleeping at night, getting a good night's sleep? And 80 to 90% of the hands go up. People have so much trouble sleeping because of this internal dialogue. And I offer them this free e-course. And it's absolutely shocking to me every time that over the next day or so, out of the hundreds of people in the room, there may be a dozen that actually sign up, sometimes single digits. Everyone is having trouble with this, but it shocks me how few people are ready to take action to change it. So I hope that this is something that's useful to you, that you are ready to take action on. These are resources, simple tools that can have massive effect on your life, on this one biggest builder of resilience. Try this out. Try out some of these techniques. Let me know how it works. If you find this of value, I'd really appreciate it if you could share this on social, share the podcast with your friends. This only gets spread through word of mouth. Thank you, and I will see you next week. I'm Ravi Tangri, and this is SOULgineering, your life and work.